Hey everyone, and welcome to Techweek TV, brought to you by Callaghan Innovation. We're at the last session of the day, super excited to have you tuning in. In this session we're going to be exploring how the NZBN will change the future of business in New Zealand, and introducing our amazing panellists that we have joining us today, Beth Williams and Joe Hogan from MB. How are you guys doing?
Really
Good.
Well, thank you.
Now, just for a quick overview, would you like to explain your role and what you're working on, and then we'll throw you guys a quick video so you can get up to date and look at what we're going to be talking about today.
Yeah, sure. My name's Beth Williams. I head up an amazing bunch of people who are responsible for making sure that businesses, both private sector and public sector businesses, know about the NZBN and use it, and so they can be right ready when Joe comes along with the cool new innovations that we've got happening.
So I'm Joe Hogan. I originally led the New Zealand Business Number initiative, and then we found some pretty cool things which use the NZBN, one of those being EInvoicing, so I'm leading that up at the moment in conjunction with Australia. And also we're working on a new initiative around a cross-agency platform to deliver permission-based services to business, and that is empowered by the New Zealand Business Number.
And just before we swap to the video, can you tell me why someone would need a New Zealand business number?
You had you.
Well, it's true. So look, you need a New Zealand business number so that when you're interacting with businesses and with government, they know that you are that business. It has all of your information on it, and so you don't have to keep sharing it over and over again. But also in the new innovations that we've got, especially digital, it forms part of your digital identity as a business. So the sooner you get your New Zealand business number and start basing everything you do in your business and with other businesses around that, the earlier you'll be on the track to being future-proofed and successful in New Zealand.
There you go, the ball's in your court. Right, over to the video.
As an accountant, I'm making sure all my clients are using the New Zealand business number. Your NZBN holds your key business info, like trading name and phone number, so you don't have to keep repeating yourself. That means less paperwork, so you can spend more time doing what you love. Using the NZBN is free for all businesses, including self-employed people. Over 675,000 businesses already have one. So keep up with the Joneses and make sure you ask your accountant about your NZBN today.
Welcome back. Okay, so we know exactly what the New Zealand business number is now. What benefits are we already seeing?
There's a whole range of things that businesses are doing with the NZBN, and from using it to streamline their business processes and procedures. And it's great that it's getting built into the systems, because it's really facilitating finance and procurement and managing customer relationships by linking all of these businesses to the shared network of information. And it will save businesses a lot of time, but it will also position them so that they're right ready for when the new innovations and the technologies hit.
Awesome.
I think it was also in the age of data. It's all about big data now. Part of the challenges in New Zealand before had been that everyone identified a business in a different way. There's other countries in the world who had a similar type of identifier a bit earlier than us. But what we've done with the New Zealand business number is we've based it on a global identifier, so it means it can be recognised anywhere in the world, and digital is global, so that's a really important part. But also it means that with the technology that we've applied to the New Zealand business number, we're one of the few in the world that you can link to through APIs. It has publicly available information, so it's not just about working with government, it is true business to business, so that's pretty exciting. And it means we can join a number of different data sources together, and you can as a business, so that instead of having one record for a customer and one for a supplier, you can actually get a complete picture of all the businesses you interact with in all the different ways that you do. So it's pretty exciting stuff.
Sounds like quite a game changer for businesses.
And then link to other people's data sets as well. So not just getting the full picture across your own organisation, but then linking into other people's data, using that identifier as the key to unlock that other data sets. So you get much richer information, should enable businesses to make much better business decisions.
What was the trigger that where MB said, we really need, this is a priority, we absolutely need to roll this out and make it available for New Zealand companies?
I think it is this whole, future-proofing the New Zealand economy. We talk about the digital economy, and recently it's kind of like, well, digital economy is the economy. That is, digital is part of everything we do now. And it was really important for us to have a streamlined way and a secure way of businesses being able to identify who was who. But also, you know, we've been really trying to look at how do we make it easier for businesses to deal with government. It's a little bit complicated sometimes. And so, you know, businesses were providing the same information to different agencies, government departments, over and over and over again, whether it had changed or not. And the idea behind this was, well, wouldn't it be really nice if there was one place that kept that core information about a business, so that government departments and, you know, the key businesses that you work with could access that information. And then I guess, you know, in the digital age, it just means that it's not just about that information now, it's actually about building it into systems and truly digitising and making it really seamless as well.
I'm impressed that you have an API.
and then taking that to the next level, when something changes, then all those people in that network can be updated automatically through another API, which, you know, sends out an alert to let people know that something's changed. So all those people that Joe was just talking about, and that you're having to let them know about the information that you have currently. When anything changes as well, then that alert can go out to everyone that you work with.
So just for an example, a business dealing with a bank, will they be able to use this sort of technology in order to be like identify them as a business, if it's like a business banking relationship?
Yeah, we're working with the major trading banks at the moment. Some of them have used the NZBN particularly to manage their data that we were talking about before, and to look at where their product development ought to go, and future-proofing their own business, I guess, and looking at what they're going to need in the future. Where we'd like to see all big businesses go is things like improving customer experience, so using the API to pull the information out of the register and pop that into an online form, so that businesses don't have to re-enter that information over and over again. But then also including it in finance and procurement to speed up those transactions, to manage their CRMs, their customer databases much better. And getting that information back into their system so they're up to date, so they're referring back to the NZBN register to make sure that their information is current.
I think that's a incentive to go sort this out for businesses, which is self-populating forms.
Well, and it's so good if we're all using it, you know, like the more people who get on board and are using it and are actively using it, the better it is for everyone in New Zealand. So, you know, we really encourage people and businesses to get on and embed it right through all of their systems and their processes, because then everyone benefits. They certainly will, but everyone that they do business with will as well, and then everyone that they do business with will as well. Awesome. So, you know, it's...
So outside of the functionality we've already talked to, is there anything else that businesses can kind of get out of the NZBN?
So there's actually some changes we're making to the register. Earlier this year, because we went through a bit of a consultation process about is there anything missing from the register, and we got some feedback about certain things. So we're working on including those. One of those is GST number, because, you know, you always get asked for that. So GST number is one of the ones, and bank account is another one where businesses can actually put their bank account number and say, this is the bank account that I'd like to be paid by. The idea behind that is that we'll have obviously validation linked into that, so you can't go and update, you know, do dodgy things. But what it means is that, you know, that's one of the bugbears of businesses. Am I even paying the right business? You know, you get an invoice and is that the right one? And there's obviously lots of controls that need to be in place to make sure that's happening. So what we're trying to get to is, again, building all the information into one place that's owned by and managed by a business. It's their information that they are then sharing with the rest of New Zealand and the world. Yep. So those types of bits of information, they're the really important ones, and those should be in place in the later part of this year.
Our GST for companies is already there, so that's a really big chunk of businesses in New Zealand, and we're really encouraging companies to go in and put a GST number in to the NZBN right now, and we'll roll that out to other businesses over the next few months.
And I think, to your point, it's verifiable for procurement and people paying the bills, which
source
is, you know,
information, and it's really important from a trusted and secure perspective.
And credible. Okay, so what technology is available using the NZBN, and what support for implementation is available?
It's the APIs.
Yeah, we've got some really cool APIs and some fantastic Techweek guys that can help people work through that process. So there's some good information on the NZBN website, nzbn.govt.nz, and we would encourage people that go through that if they've got some questions to use the Contact Us form that's there and get in touch, because we would love to have an either business conversation or a tech conversation with those those organisations. I think in terms of getting people started, we provide a free data matching service, so businesses can give us a slice of their database and we will match NZBNs onto that. And that's a really good way to sort of get everything that you've got now up to speed, and then going forward asking all those businesses that you interact with and that you start working with for their NZBN.
Is that matching program where business A might have a certain amount of information and then you have different information, and then that's where you're sharing that information, so you're kind of self-populating each other's sort of data set?
At the moment we're just giving them an NZBN where we've got a match by a legal name or company number or something like that. But yeah, that's certainly something that we could look at doing with the businesses, and we tend to do that data matching process iteratively as well. You know, they'll go through it once and then they'll get a certain number of matches and they'll go away and they'll clean it up a bit and then they'll give it back to us, and that's absolutely fine. We're all just about sharing that information. Awesome. And then of course the APIs, you can get the alerts coming out of the APIs. You can just suck the information into them for the onboarding form that we were talking about before, and then pushing the information back using the APIs back into the register. So they're all there, it's free to use, and we've got some more technical people than us to have those conversations.
There is one particular API though which we're really keen to see businesses take more advantage of, which is our update API, so that you can provide a seamless experience for the businesses that come to you and provide a service to them. So maybe some information has changed and they have, forgotten to update the register, which, not that anyone would do that because it's the first place you go whenever anything changes. But at least kind of, we've got APIs now which actually allow you to build into your system or your website or whatever it is, the ability for a business to go, oh, actually that's not quite right, I'd like to update it, and I'd like you to also please update it to the register. Now that's a bit of an extra added service, and it's something that we would really, really encourage people to look at when you're designing your systems or looking at how can we use the NZBN. That would be a great one.
Just a tick box auto update,
and a great value add for those the businesses to provide their customers.
Okay, so how much personal data is currently available on the NZBN register? Has this changed, and is there anything business owners should consider regarding business and personal information being publicly available?
So the New Zealand Business Number Register is actually it applies to all different types of businesses, right? And so some of them are incorporated entities, and they have been, like companies and those types of things, which have mandatory publicly available information and have for a very, very long time. The bit that was missing was actually sole traders, partnerships and trusts, so those businesses that don't normally have to register anywhere. So for those businesses, we've got some slightly different functionality available for them. We absolutely encourage those businesses to provide as much information publicly available as they're comfortable with, because that's how you get the most benefit. But there is the ability to make some of that information private or public. So it can still be on the register, but people can't publicly see it or access it. So we've taken that into consideration when we've crafted the New Zealand Business Number Register, bearing in mind we understand that there are some businesses that are individuals, so we needed to make sure that was covered off.
Cool.
But for the majority of businesses, the information is actually publicly available already, and so we're just presenting it in a slightly different way, and not worried about whether it's a company or an incorporated society. You can just go to the NZBN register and get the information you need.
I'm going to ask a silly question because I'm wondering, the company's office and then NZBN, how are they different, the same?
One and the same.
Okay.
One and the same. So in New Zealand we've been a little bit creative in the way that we've done this, and our New Zealand Business Number Register basically is a view of all the different registers that exist within the company's office.
Right.
And it turns out it's a much cheaper way of doing it, by the way. It's pretty good. But it also means then that we're actually just building it into the standard process that those businesses go through anyway. So we're not adding any extra work that's required, and it means that they're always up to date. They're one and the same thing. So that's very helpful.
So that is really, really powerful. I think a few people at home might have been wondering, so I just wanted to...
And the company's office actually manage that register, so you've got all the security around that. Those people are very good at managing that sort of stuff. So.
Wonderful. Okay, so it wasn't a silly question.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Okay, so can you give me more information on EInvoicing, and how will it change invoicing in New Zealand? Will it influence other financial processes?
I actually think we might have a video.
So you want to go to the video first?
Yeah, and
okay,
because it's pretty, and it kind of explains things probably a bit better than I can, and then we can go into it from there.
Great. Over to you guys for the video.
E-invoicing is on its way to modernise the way we do business through the direct exchange of invoice data between suppliers and buyers' accounting systems, even if these systems are different. Its effectiveness relies on the use of international standards and common digital services that speak the same language and connect all the underlying systems. This ensures information can be exchanged securely and reliably each and every time. We call this the Interoperability framework. It creates confidence for New Zealand businesses that all systems are working together, so manual invoice handling can become a thing of the past. For digital service providers, a standard interoperability framework seeks to minimise the cost of implementing e-invoicing, which is good for all businesses, big or small. The New Zealand and Australian governments are working on a joint approach to e-invoicing to make it easier for businesses on both sides of the Tasman to work together. E-invoicing is powered by the New Zealand business number. To find yours, search the register at nzbn.govt.nz today.
Awesome, welcome back. So now you're up to speed with e-invoicing. Okay, back to our question. So can you give us any more information on e-invoicing and how it will change invoicing in New Zealand and how it will influence other financial processes?
I sure can. So, I particularly like that video, the Pac-Man part, because I'm a child of the 80s and it just gets me every time. It's fantastic. So look, from an e-invoicing perspective, it's kind of the start of the journey on having the ability to have a standardised way of systems to communicate with each other for key business documents. Now, every business invoices, so that's the first one that we're starting with. And basically what it means is that no matter, if I've got a Xero or an MYOB or any other accounting package and I raise an invoice, magically, I know it's not magic for the audience because you're all technical people, but magically it goes from one system and turns up in another system, and it does that based on your New Zealand business number. So it knows your digital address for the business that you're sending to based on the New Zealand business number, and it's in a standardised, structured format so that it arrives in the other system, and there's no PDFs, there's no emails, there's no paper, there's none of that kind of thing. We're starting with invoices, and then we're moving to other types of documents such as purchase orders, shipping notices, delivery notices, those types of things. And we're doing this in conjunction with Australia because we have so much interoperability between Australia and New Zealand. A lot of the providers in this space actually operate across both Australia and New Zealand, so we wanted to make sure we were doing it as straightforward as possible. And in February it was announced by our Prime Minister that we are joining up to a global standard, which is called, it's a terrible name, PEPOL, which means Pan-European Public Procurement Online. Forget the name. Basically what it means is there's
Just go with PEPOL.
Yeah, go with PEPOL. There's 32 countries around the world who are all using the same standard. And it means that, and especially because the New Zealand business number is a global number, it turns out it was already part of the framework, which is very exciting for us. And it means that not only will we be able to do these seamless transactions in New Zealand and with Australia, but across the world. So, we talked before about digital being truly global. There you go, that's what we're aiming for.
This is a curveball, but do you think that banks will finally start accepting digital signatures?
Oh God, I don't know.
You don't have to answer that.
We are having, look, there are conversations going on at the moment in the digital identity space, and we are working very closely with the Department of Internal Affairs in that, and there's involvement with banks, with digital identity, with New Zealand business number, with Know Your Customer, with anti-money laundering, all those kind of things. So we are consciously trying to make sure that we've actually got that happening, and actually as well as the work that we're doing with Australia in e-invoicing and with the Australian business number and New Zealand business number, there's a bit of work going on at the moment around digital identity and a trust framework that again will be interoperable, will be recognised on both sides of the Tasman. So maybe we'll be able to cover that off in that one.
Yep. Bit of a game changer. I'm seeing some really awesome applications here. So I guess last question from me, or maybe I might have another one. How will the NZBN transform how we do business in the next 5 to 10 years and then again in 2050?
Well, from my perspective, this is going to sound terrible. I think we need to get to the point where, I'm looking forward to the point where it's not about the New Zealand business number anymore. So actually we talk about it a lot at the moment because it's a new concept, but it should just be embedded into everything that we're doing. And so the customer experience isn't about a number. The customer experience is about the business that you're doing business with, and the number just connects everything in the background. It's like HTML. We don't really talk about HTML anymore. You just have things that write the code for you, right? And you just do your normal stuff, and that's where we're hoping to get the New Zealand business number to. So it just enables all the normal things you do do every day in your business. Very similar to what inland revenue doing at the moment, where you don't have to worry about inland revenue anymore. You do your normal thing in your accounting system and stuff just magically happens in the background. That's what I'm looking for. I think that's where we want to go.
So it really is a digital enabler.
Yeah.
It's just something that allows all this other cool stuff to happen, and that's where we see it going. We don't want it to be up in lights. It's just part of doing business and allowing you to access these fantastic innovations which are coming along.
Awesome. And my last question, and you might not be able to answer it, but this does not auto-populate, correct? Like the number doesn't auto-populate, so people do have to go and build their profile online or sign up for the number?
When you, if you're a business that's incorporated, like a company or a charitable trust or incorporated society, you're automatically given an NZBN. For sole traders and partnerships and trusts, you need to go and get your NZBN, but I've got an NZBN and I'm living proof that it's not hard because I am not tech savvy, sorry. And if you ask my children, I have no patience and I have an NZBN. So, I'm proof that it's not that difficult for us sole traders to get out there and get your NZBN. So go do it.
What sort of percentage are we talking about of people, of those sort of sole traders or people who do need to go get it, have you currently got, and then we can send them some instructions?
It's actually very difficult to know how many sole traders there are in New Zealand because there's never been a register for them, but I can tell you there's over 690,000 businesses with an NZBN right now. Wonderful. So what we need to get them to do is actually start using it, to build it into all their processes and their systems, and to start hooking into those APIs and use it for onboarding and streamlining customer experience and get better data management and start hooking into other people's data and make better business decisions and just go conquer the world.
Awesome. Can we have the website just one more time so people at home can go do their homework?
Yeah, please go and, for all those businesses, go and have a look at your company number, your company register, and see your NZBN, and go and search that on nzbn.govt.nz, and for sole traders you can get your NZBN for free there as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. It was super insightful. Thank you so much for joining our session and tuning in to Techweek TV. That's it for the day, and we'll see you back here tomorrow. Good night.